All right, hi everyone. This is my quiz review for quiz number 6. I'm gonna start with question number 1 on mine. The prompt says Brittany closes her closet door without realizing someone's in the closet. She also doesn't realize the door is locked from the outside. Is Brittany liable for false imprisonment? Hint, you might have to look ahead in the textbook for this one. I think that hint is from an earlier quiz because it's really far behind in the textbooks. I found false imprisonment on page 22. And so we have to look at all of the options. False imprisonment is starting to be defined on page 22. And we have to look at the fact that she doesn't realize the door is locked from the outside. So she obviously didn't lock the door on purpose. Um, and her acting reasonably, um, she reasonably just closed her closet door. That's what I thought at first because she didn't know that anybody was in the closet. So for her, it's reasonable for her to close her closet door after she's done using anything in her closet. Also, don't find that there's any negligence here, and I chose to use because it was an accident. And the reason I just chose that choice was false imprisonment is a violation of the right to be free from intentional restraints on one's freedom of movement. So the four elements of that are there's five elements actually. An act confined within fixed boundaries, intent, cause, and consciousness of confinement or physical harm to plaintiff. So there was an act with her being locked in the closet. She was confined within fixed boundaries because she was in a closet. But the thing that's missing here majorly is intent because she doesn't realize anybody's in the closet. She also doesn't realize that the door is locked from the outside, so that the person can't even get out, even if they were locked out. But that wasn't locked in. But that wasn't even on her mind because she was acting reasonably on her part. So I chose because it was an accident, and I got that one right. The next one that I did was this one right here, question number 9. Tony owns 16 acres of land. One of the defining features on his property is a fissure in the ground surface that was gradually excavated by a creek that dried out long ago. Although the creek was entirely on Tony's land, the fissure had spread just beyond his property line. One day, a patient with severe Alzheimer's disease wanders away from a nearby nursing home. The patient has a history of being oblivious to her surroundings. She walks along the outside of Tony's fence and falls into the fissure, injuring herself. What's the primary reason Tony would likely escape liability? So we're going to go through all the choices. He's not liable because the patient was contributorily negligent. So contributory negligence is defined on page 100 of our textbook, and it basically explains that in contributory negligence, the plaintiff plays a part, so they contribute to the negligence in causing their injury. So she was a large part in causing her own injury. So obviously she wandered out of the nursing home, so that's her fault. But she also has Alzheimer's, which is obviously not her fault. It's severe enough to where she has a history of being oblivious to her surroundings. So I kept that one in mind, but I kept moving on. He's not liable because the fissure is a natural condition. And natural conditions are defined on page 160, and they are conditioned upon the land that have been untouched or influenced by humans. So that was my second possible choice. He's not liable because the patient should have known of the danger. First of all, most people they shouldn't be aware of that unless they either knew about the land beforehand, which is highly unlikely, and plus has a history of being oblivious to her surroundings, so she probably doesn't have any information on the danger. He's not liable because the patient is an adult. It wouldn't matter whether or not it was a child or an adult here. I don't think that plays a part. He's not liable because the fixture was an attractive nuisance, which is on which page is that? Attractive nuisances are on page 152, and it's where it has to do with a trespassing child. So, and this is not a child. This is an elderly patient or a patient with severe Alzheimer's disease. And then he's not liable because the patient is a trespasser. Well, she's not trespassing because it was along the outside of Tony's fence line. So I went back to the first two choices. He's not liable because the patient was contributory negligent. And I figured out that, I just figured myself that since she is in a nursing home, I feel like a lot of the liability falls on the nursing home rather than her if she were to be the plaintiff, just because of the fact that she has a history of severe Alzheimer's disease, and she probably doesn't really know what she's doing very well. So even though she might have played a part in her injury, she didn't know what she was doing the entire time. So I picked natural condition because of the fact that it exists upon the land, and Tony owes no duty of care to prevent injury to persons outside the land who might be injured by natural conditions that exist on his property, which is how he would likely escape liability. So I picked that one. He's not liable because a fissure is a natural condition, and I got that one right as well. Let me know down below if you have any questions or concerns or comments, and that was it. Thank you.